Tonight, TV6 investigates what led to a murder-suicide last night.
Police say a man stabbed a woman in a domestic dispute. Tonight, some county leaders are questioning why that man was out of jail.
You know, you're talking 7, 8 convictions of domestic violence. You have a sexual predator who's a registered sex offender, who's been arrested 6 times for drunk driving. You know, there's someone like that shouldn't be on the streets.
Marquette County Sheriff Greg Zybert is talking about Tori Shikansky, the 52-year-old accused of murdering 45-year-old Jamie Foy before taking his own life. According to Forsyth Township Police, Shikansky and Foy had been in an on-again, off-again relationship for several years. Shikansky was a registered sex offender with an extensive criminal history dating back to the 90s. He was in jail awaiting sentencing in April for a domestic assault conviction. He was released January 15th on a PR bond. Marquette County Circuit Court Judge Andrew Griffin signed off on Shikansky's bond. The judge could not talk to us about the specifics of this case because it's an ongoing investigation, but he explained PR bonds.
Somebody was out on what's called a personal recognizance bond in the past, and they appeared for all court hearings. Then you're just looking at, well, what's the likelihood of committing a new offense while they're awaiting trial on this offense?
We reviewed Shikansky's Marquette County court record. Shikansky was a repeat offender. His arrest record spans back to 1999. In 5 cases, he was charged with domestic violence. In another, he was charged with felonious assault. While most of these charges were dismissed, he was convicted at least twice for domestic violence. Before all of those cases, he was convicted of criminal sexual assault of a 13 to 15-year-old victim and put on the sex offender registry. Some Marquette County leaders are questioning the current bond system and why Shikansky was out of jail.
Unless you basically rape, rob, or murder, you get out on a PR bond. And the saying is, as long as you're not, going a threat to society is what they're basing it on. But, you know, officers are getting sick and tired of arresting the same person.
Michigan court rules say PR bonds are ordered subject to the conditions that the defendant will appear as required, will not leave the state without permission of the court, and will not commit any crime while released.
There's legislation through court rules that talks about bond. You know, you really have to look at each case individually. Generally, what the directions the courts have is to look at a presumption of no bond.
Marquette County Board Chair Joe DeRocha believes more work needs to be done to find solutions. So you feel very confident that you guys are doing that from the county board perspective?
Certainly, I don't think it's a revenue issue. From an expenditure piece, throwing more money at this probably isn't going to solve the problem.
Investigators say they don't know the exact details of what led to the murder-suicide, but they believe a domestic dispute turned violent and deadly.
A sad event that has happened, for sure, for the victims that are involved. And we need to look at how we can do, of course, better.
Tomorrow night, we're continuing our coverage of this story by hearing suggestions from all 3 people I interviewed to look at improving the bond system here in Michigan. And if you want to see more stories from TV6 Investigates, you can watch them on demand. You can find all our previous stories. Click on the TV6 Investigates tab on UpperMichiganSource.com or find the category on our free TV6 streaming app.